Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fringe Coverage. This podcast profiles the stories, swings, and stars of the LPGA Tour. And whether you're brand new to women's golf or a longtime fan, hopefully this podcast helps you develop your own rooting interests in women's professional golf. And let me be the first to put the crown on my buddy Tom. You aced your international crown picks this week. How are you, buddy? Let's hear the victory lap right off the start off.
Mark, I would be lying if I didn't Google the nearest Burger King because I wanted to come up on this episode wearing a crown. First off, it's 22 minutes from my house. And secondly, you need to be part of the BK rewards program for them to even give you a free crown.
Oh, come on, BK.
I don't even know if they have the BK Kids Club anymore. But anyway. Yeah, it
Uh,
was a really fun week of golf. With the times that we could watch it out here in California, it being on at 7 p.m. was really nice because bring the kids home, feed them and all that. And then we could sit down and I sat down with my wife and kids and we watched some LPGA golf, which was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it.
I love that, man. We're gonna do a full. We're gonna dive into the International Crown, but you know what? There's another piece of golf news I just want to do a quick shout out on. It's not going to be a long segment, but for those of you fans of the Ladies European Tour, awesome win for Yanni Sang this week at the Western Ladies Open. So we profiled Yanni probably a couple months ago now as someone who has really been in the wilderness as it relates to her game. As a refresher, Yanni was the youngest ever to reach 5 majors at 22 years old. Yanni hasn't won a golf tournament since 2014. It's been 11 years since she won. And Yanni is the one, if you remember, Tom, that we knew was going to be an immediate person you would like because she's right-handed and putts lefty to write a woman after your own heart. So Yanni, not only did she win, so there's kind of an asterisk on this one. It was a 36-hole event. The rain just crushed this tournament, so they had to shorten it to 36 holes. It does count, and it was in Taiwan, which is where she's from. So she got her first win in 11 years on home soil. Again, we got a lot to get into today, but wanted to lead off with just a heartfelt congratulations to Yanni because she really didn't know if she had it. She was very open about whether she would ever be competitive again, whether she wanted to hang it up, whether she thought she could win. And it sounds like just everything came together for her this week. So big shout out to Yanni and all the right-handed players that putt left-handed. So Tom mentioned it. It was a pretty fun viewing experience. Again, the women, it was a week off for the LPGA Tour, except for those women on one of the 8 international crown teams. Again, 7 nations and 1 world team. And we're going to get right into it. We're not going to rehash the format or anything. They did pool play and then got into the semifinals. And coming out of pool play, the United States and Australia advanced out of Pool A, and Pool B, the world team and Japan advanced. And after that pool play, I truly did not think anyone was going to beat the U.S. Between Yalimi and Angel were just straight home wreckers. No one stood a chance against those two. And then Lauren Coughlin and Lilia Vu, I was really curious how Lilia was going to play. They brought him in. I don't even know if the U.S. saw the 18th hole during pool play. They were winning 5-4, 4-3, 3-2. I have to go back and look, but they did not get much experience on those 17th and 18th holes, which is a compliment to them, those early rounds. And then so we get into the semis, and based on the way the draw worked out, Australia was pitted against the world team, and the U.S. was against Japan. U.S. beat Japan handily, but man, the headline was this Australia World match. And before we go any further, Tom, anything at a pool play that stood out to you? I know you and your family watched a lot of pool play.
There was something that I you just mentioned it now. So if the US never gets to holes, let's say 16, 17, 18, I wonder if that kind of puts them at a disadvantage for the final day, because if they don't have any course experience there, I mean, you would know better than I would. Do they get a chance to go walk the course and they get to try it out at least to see what it feels like or just the visuals of it and all that? But they probably don't play around, with as much as the other teams
Well,
do.
certainly not. Yeah, the competitive reps are different, right? They did get there early in the week. So if their first pool play match was Thursday, they did get to play a couple practice rounds depending on their travel schedule, which we will get to later when we do our deep dive on the schedule. But conceivably, they played 9 or 18 holes on Tuesday and Wednesday to start seeing where they might place pins and do their normal course mapping. But yeah, if you look at those other teams that did advance that saw the 18th hole, I do think they're seeing exactly how it's playing based on the weather conditions. Maybe they missed on the wrong side earlier in the week and say, hey, it can't be left. I do think there's something to be said about that, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure you would choose anything other than the US route, which is just destroying people and getting a lot of rest.
Hmm.
Anything from just your pool play, watching it before we get into the birdies and bogeys of what happened in the semifinals and finals. I know you had texted me you were watching with your family. Any just takeaways from watching A, golf with your family, and B, specifically the crown?
I really enjoy watching sports when I can hear the announcers. I always want to know what the announcers are saying, and it's kind of tough with two kids and a
Ah,
wife.
got it.
But so I was really enjoying it. I would say, hey, stop! Grant Boone's talking. I want to listen to what Grant Boone has to say. And I mean, he's such a pro, and the whole team there does a really good job. And I do enjoy listening to what they have to say. The one thing that I did find jarring was the amount of music that was playing during the round,
Yeah.
which I guess I'd never really noticed before. I don't know if that's a normal thing on some tournaments or kind of a live thing from what I was under the impression of, but like watching a tour and then just hearing like a Destiny's Child song in the background, I go, is this like is my wife on her phone? Is this something coming out? Like where is this music coming from?
So the crown plays more music. It is golf is a much bigger thing in Korea than it is here in the States, women's golf specifically. So they do have they build kind of a President's Cup, Ryder Cup atmosphere where they're trying to pump up the fans on the first tee. There was dance competitions happening going on in the stands on the first tee, and I think they actually gave some of the players they try to be deferential and kind of mute the music when they tee off. And a couple players like, no, 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 like keep it going, which I love. So
Yeah.
there's kind of, and the fans just eat that up, right? When Minjee or anyone else is saying, hey, let's play it while I'm swinging. But yeah, what was weird is like you were you were watching golf on the third or fourth hole, and you could still hear the music on the first. Like they were bumping
Yeah.
tunes that entire time. I think it was just a big party, which again, these team events, especially when you get to semifinals, are really hard for fans to follow because there's only so many balls in the air, right? Like there's only 3 or 4 matches happening. And if you're not, the Ryder Cup is the example, when they're 10, 20 rows deep, unless you're in the first 3 rows, you can't see anything anyway. So you're kind of just more there to hear the roars than to see the action. So I like that they have other things happening on the golf course to make it worth going. Otherwise, why would you not just watch at home?
Yeah.
So I do like that they're doing things to try to bring people out to the course. What did you think of the sound effects of the cups?
It threw me. I didn't know what was going on. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't see if they ever addressed it on the broadcast where like, is it made of tin or I mean, is there something different about it that makes that noise? Is this a Korean thing that they like the courses out there prefer that? I thought it was great. I mean, I don't know why they don't adopt that on more courses.
For those of you that didn't watch, they have metal cups. So when the cup drop or when a putt drops, you hear a major clink, and it kind of is bit of finality to the putt. I feel like it kind of is a punctuation mark from a sound effect perspective. That's not piped in. It's very real. I'm curious where the microphones are, if whether there's a
Right, because
mic
it's
in the
loud.
cup or if there's just a greenside one that picks that up. But I thought it was additive. I thought it was fun. I thought it was different. And I think the LPGA can use any and all of those things that I just listed off. But I do think it enhances it. It certainly doesn't take away from it. And I mean, I would love to hear that sound when I cash a putt because I don't cash them very often. Man, I wouldn't take gimmies anymore if there were metal cups because I'd want to hear it every time.
Well, that's a good point. What would be
Yeah.
the best sound? Maybe like a cash register,
Cha-ching for sure. For
like
sure.
a swoosh, like a net swoosh. That'd be my choice.
Okay, you want like a hockey buzzer?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're a
that might
hockey
be
guy.
distracting for other people if we're having a red light go off.
So, okay, so let's get into it. I mentioned the semifinals were US, Japan, and Australia in the world. The US just took a bit care of business the same way they did with pool play. Angel and Yalimi played really well, as did Lilia. And again, you had to get 2 out of the 3 match points here. So the first 2 were singles. The last one was a foursomes matchup. But let's get straight to the Australia World match. So here's the order of operation or order of events is really important here. So first off, Not surprisingly, the world sent Charlie out first in singles. We said as soon as this gets to singles, Charlie's going to play singles. And Charlie went out and won her match immediately to put them up 1-0. So now there is a singles match and a foursomes match remaining that the world just has to get one of those 2 points, and the Australians would have to win both. In that second singles match out, Brooke Henderson and Minjee Lee are playing. Brooke Henderson is beating up on Minjee on the front nine. By the time they get to the 12th or finish the 12th hole, Brooke is up 3 with 6 to play. And again, you get a point for every hole you win. So this looks like it's just a matter of how long can Minjee string this out because she's going to get beat. And Tom, other than Grace Kim winning the Evian earlier this year, I think this might have been the most exciting hour of golf I watched this year on the men's or women's side. Minjee turns into a machine and birdies 13, 14, 16 to tie it up. And again, Brooke is parring or worse each of these holes for Minjee to get a point. So they go into the 17th tied, and all of a sudden, the momentum has gone from is the foursomes match even going to matter to that foursomes match might matter a lot because it looks like Minjee might come back and tie, win this, who knows. And Minjee goes long on the green on 17, and it looks like they're probably going to par and have a really interesting 18th hole. Minjee chips in on 17 for birdie to steal another one. So so again, birdies 13, 14, 16, 17, all of a sudden one up with one to play. They both end up parring 18. Minjee wins. Now, so Charlie won the first one, Minjee won the second. Now the foursomes match matters. I'm texting you, the whole team, like, you better be watching this, dude. This is nuts. And that final foursomes match is now who does that leave? Grace Kim and Hannah Green against Lydia Ko and Wei Ling Su, and it was kind of a back and forth match the whole time. But the world team had a lead in that going down the final stretch, and they were one up with one to play going into the 18th. The Aussies flip it on 18. Grace cans some putts, man. Like I want if there's a clutch moment, I think I want Grace Kim in it. She's proven herself this year as up to the task. So she makes a huge putt on 18 to force extra holes. Because remember, this is the tiebreaker match, so they can't have the match. So they're going to go to extra holes, which is the only time in team play that this is going to happen. And I think the second or third hole, Lydia hits one of the worst drives I've seen on tour this year. It just blows it way right into the trees, leaves Wei Ling nothing. She tries to chip out from the trees, can't even get it back into the fairway. They're in the rough. All of a sudden, Aussies need to play it safe. Just put it in the center of the green, 2-putt for a par. They win it. So now all of a sudden, we got Australia versus US. The world and Japan play for third place. The world win that. Again, Charlie wins their singles match. Charlie's a machine in singles, man. But the main event, Australia and the US. Tom, I mentioned this to you, and we were texting back and forth. And as you always say, save it for the pod. The U.S. had taken care of business. They were the first ones out in the semis. They beat up on Japan and finished way early. By the time Australia had finished their extra holes, they gave them about an hour break. When it came time for those tee balls to go up in the finals match, I believe the U.S. had been sitting for about 3 or 4 hours, and Australia basically went in, got a sandwich, and went back out and teed it up. This will forever be a question that we won't know the answer to, but I'm curious your take. How do you feel? You called it rest versus rust, right? How do you view those two? Which one of those do you want to be? Do you want to be able to go kick your feet up, have a sandwich, then have to re-warm up? Or do you want to be the team that says like, hey, let's just keep the momentum going, grab a sandwich, and keep going?
I think I'm the momentum team.
Okay.
If it's not something that's grueling like a hockey match or even like something where an NFL bye week where your body really needs that rest and that recuperation, then I would say just keep the momentum going and power through. Hopefully you got enough adrenaline to power you through to the finish.
I feel like on paper, I want to say rest. I feel like it just makes sense but if that's like in a 7-game World Series Stanley Cup type of rest, when we're talking about a matter of hours, not days, I think I'm with you just because if I'm thinking about anything about how my body locks up after a certain amount of rest, the idea of re-warming up and having to go play for the finals, again, it's a 36 hole day. Look, they've already played 3 rounds of golf in the days leading up to this. So this is going to be their 5th round of golf in 4 days. With early wake up calls. Again, they're in Korea. They've had weird, we're going to talk about the schedule again. Like this is a pretty demanding schedule. And the thought of having to, for Angel Yin and Yalimi No and Lauren Coughlin, Lilia Vu just be sitting saying, who are we going to play? And they don't know if it's going to go to extra holes, right? So it was even longer. So like, when do we start warming up? Do you warm up too soon and you get cold again? I just
Right.
don't want that many variables if I don't have to have it.
Right.
So,
What are they going to be doing that's so beneficial in that time off? I mean, they're not napping, right? They're not going to recharge their battery that way. They'll probably
I mean,
eat,
they're off their feet, right? That's what they
overthink
are.
something, probably. I mean, at
I
least that's what
mean,
I would do.
I mean, you're playing 4 hour rounds of golf, 3.5 hour rounds of golf like that over the last few days. You've been 12, 15 hours on your feet. Like you're probably not on your feet during that time, but are you
Yeah.
really regassing your legs up? I don't think so. Like you're probably making sure you're eating some healthy food, but let's get to it. Um, Australia just took it to them, man, and they won. And it was really entertaining golf. I continue to just be wowed by Minjee. I mentioned in the last episode, she's the only player to have played in every single one of these international crowns dating back to 2014. Man, she looked like it. She did not get rattled. Again, she was 3 down with 6 to go to Brooke. She came back out. She was swaggy. She was having fun. She had great walkout songs. She looked like she was having fun the entire time. And that's kind of the Australian MO, right? Like that, those four, Steph Kiriakou, all of them were just having so much fun. In the morning semifinals, Hannah Green couldn't cash a putt to save her life on the front nine. And then she was cashing everything in the finals. Like it was just really fun to watch all of them peak. And Angel and Yalimi were not playing bad golf by any stretch in their respective singles matches. And Lauren and Lilia were playing really good. Just Australia played better. And that is your international crown. I think it's fitting. Australia lost in the finals last time around to Thailand. So the runners up get to their revenge this time around. And as we mentioned, Tom, we did some picks at the beginning of this week where we picked the 4 teams to advance out of pool play and the winner. You aced them. Perfect score. You picked all 4 teams to advance plus the winner. I'm very impressed. Anything else to empty the chamber on from the
Single
international
morning.
crown?
What did you think of the uniforms?
I liked I like the unique colors. I like that I immediately turned on the TV. I don't necessarily think that the colors didn't necessarily make me think of those respective nations. I
Agreed.
did like that they all had uniforms.
I like the gradient, the color,
Yeah.
transitioning down to
Yeah. I
white. I
thought the
thought those
world
were
team looked sweet and purple. I
clean.
thought those actually looked really sweet.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
fan of purple. I think it's a solid uniform color.
I'm always curious what this is a major tangent, but I wonder if they give them the option on their headwear of whether they're wearing visors, hats, or nothing. They must in some capacity because on day one, Charlie wasn't wearing anything. Day two, Charlie was wearing a visor. There were some kind of dopey uniform photos that were taken early on that looked like they were photoshopped on their heads with hats. So I'm just curious how that all works because if I'm a golfer, I don't want to wear anything different than what I'm used to. But they don't have endless budgets for events like this, so I'm curious if they made a hat visor version of everything and the players got their choice.
When
I
I go to
like
the driving
uniforms.
range, I wear a hat because I know I'm going to wear a hat when I play a round of golf.
I
I,
just
I
like
think it's
sun
weird.
coverage.
I think it looks weird to not wear a hat. I don't know.
I think everything else, Gino's a visor girl and she was wearing a visor out there. I thought overall nothing was offensive. I don't think anything wowed me, but I like that they're in uniforms. I think they could probably take some more creative liberties. There was a year where they actually put their names on the back, kind of jersey style.
Hmm.
It kind of fell flat on a polo, to be honest. So I'm not really sure. I'm not the creative artist here, but I liked them. I thought they were fine.
Yeah, me
You?
too. Agreed.
Team play is sweet. Wish there was more of it. Metal cups are sweet. Charlie is so sweet. Like everything about Charlie's vibe was awesome. Minjee's a cold-blooded killer. The vibes of that tournament were really awesome. Again, I mentioned there were just fans doing dance-offs, and Tom, there's people holding signs. There's fan clubs. Like we got to get at some point. I would love to go to a high stakes golf LPGA event in Korea because they have so much fun and it is just night and day difference than what's happening out here. And then my last call out, I've got a weird, I've got a new golfer obsession, and it's not because she's definitely an amazing golfer, but Hyoju Kim is so fun. She is again, she was dancing the entire time. She's a total goober, like just being goofy, having fun, interacting with the fans, laughing when they miss putts, hiving five in each other. Like no one was having more fun than Hyoju out there. She's also just a ball striking savant. Like I love her golf swing. It's super smooth. But there was so much like side camera work happening of just her working the crowd and just being goofy. And you said they were bumping music. You could see her just like popping and locking in the corner. Like I just loved everything about her. So you might hear me talk more and more about her because I'm starting to. I think I might have a bit of a golf crush on Hyoju right now.
I'm not going to pretend like I've watched a lot of Solheim Cup or anything like that,
Sure.
but this event was so much more fun than the Ryder Cup was. All the players are having a good time. If an opponent makes a super long putt, everyone's clapping and laughing and like, wow,
Yeah.
look what you just did. If that were to happen on the Ryder Cup, there would just be
Gross.
scowls and just
Yeah.
no reaction, no kudos, nothing like that. It was enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
and there were more teams, obviously. I don't know if maybe this doesn't carry the weight
Yeah.
of a Solheim Cup or a Ryder Cup or something like
Sure.
that, but I enjoy watching that. I think that kind of stuff is fun. Now, maybe, some people might not be as into that. Maybe they want more like a more of a fierce competitor coming out in their players, but I enjoy it. I think it's a good time.
There's something to be said there about that LPGA support system. There's a difference in these two sports, a lot of them, but that's one of them. It does seem to be. I mean, it's why we did this podcast, right? I feel like the LPGA just has a general, almost by necessity, has an insular self-support system, right? Of like, there's not a lot of external forces helping the LPGA right now. So if there's one thing these women are going to do, it's support each other, whether it's player to player, whether it's fans. If you're in it, you're in it, and you want everyone to succeed. You want the tour to succeed, not just individual players. The PGA is at a different point where it feels like, to your point, it's more like who individually are you rooting for, but you're not necessarily rooting for everyone just to be awesome. Like
Yeah.
my sports take is always, unless the San Diego Padres are in the World Series, very rarely is there a sporting event where I have a very vested rooting interest in. And so you've heard me say this for 20 years. I'm always rooting for extra innings. I'm always rooting for a game seven. I'm always rooting for overtime. I just want to watch good sports being played. And I feel like that's the way LPGA fans approach rooting for golf is like, that's a great putt. They don't care who it is, and especially in Korea where they really recognize it. You know, there's always those tropes in baseball about like who the Cardinals fans are the smartest fans in baseball, whatever pick your fan base that they think that they're the smartest or that they know baseball really well. I think that might be the Korean fans when it comes to the LPGA is they understand golf and they also are very excited about it. And they're just a positive group of fans that
Mhm.
aren't getting wasted on the seventh hole, you know?
So here's my tangent for you.
Okay.
My favorite baseball team is the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
My second favorite baseball team are the Detroit Tigers, since I'm from Michigan. My third is anybody playing the Dodgers because I
Sure.
detest the Dodgers. Without getting political here, Mark, our governor came out and said, "Hey, I'm a lifelong Giants fan, but I'm rooting for the Dodgers to bring a championship home to California." I am not one of those people who go, you know what, it's good. If the Dodgers win, then they're our rival, and it makes our rivalry more intense. Or we could say that we're the second best team because we if the Dodgers weren't here, we could have won or anything like that. I think that's all nonsense, especially like a college football thing where it's again a Michigan fan rooting for I root for the Big Ten because it brings up the conference. It helps them up. I don't believe in that at all. How do you feel about this?
I think it sounds like a really good political move for someone
Okay.
who's the governor of a state.
Okay.
For me, I think I grew up saying the same sentence you did is I'm rooting for the Padres or anyone that's playing the Dodgers. There's not a scenario where I'm rooting for the Dodgers, and that includes the Yankees. But
I'm rooting for a Canadian team to win the World Series. I don't care.
I just don't. I think sports fandom it has changed a lot for me over the years. I think it's to the point of like I just like watching good sports. And you and I have lived in a city where an NFL team has left, and I think there's just maybe a lot more to unpack there than an LPGA podcast is ready to dive into. But I think I just really like watching great sport, which is why I gravitate towards watching individual sports, right?
Hmm.
tennis, golf, like I just like watching people do battle and it's easy to follow. So I know it's not the answer you were looking for, but no hot take there. But speaking of takes, Tom, it is now time for Tom's takes. I feel like you have a take or two you want to get off your chest.
So, a couple hot takes. One, golf related, one not golf related. We are in the holiday season. Mark, chocolate or candy? Like fruit candy, Starburst, Skittles, Sour Patch Kids.
I mean, my favorite candy is Sour Patch Kids.
Good answer. I agree.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, now we're going back to golf. So, watching this, I really like the team play. I think that's a lot of fun. Now, two takes for you on this one. I already looked to see when the next International Crown is. It's not scheduled.
No.
It's not an every year thing. It's every other year. If they haven't announced it yet, do you think it would be possible to have the winning team host the following International Crown?
It's certainly possible. I don't know what goes into that decision-making process, but from what I have seen when they've rotated it, it's been the US every other year. And
Right.
then now I'm not sure that has to stay because, like we've said, there's 7 or 8 nations playing in this. So you would think maybe they're just trying to do a rotation. I think it's pretty golf course centric, and they're trying to take it to big golf markets, which obviously Korea. This is the second time Korea's hosted it in its 5 or 6 years of being around. But I think that there's a lot of other things we don't see of like I think they want this to be in the off year from a Solheim Cup year, so there's not 2 team play events. So what courses are available? I'm sure there's a lot more that goes into it, but I like the idea of hey,
And I'm sure
you
time
win,
of
you
year
get.
has something to do with the weather and all
I
that.
think it's
So,
kind of sweet to like introduce home field. I just don't know how much of a stress that is on golf courses that in their membership to have to say, oh, by the way, you have less than 2 years notice of when we're going to shut down for a week and turn this over to the LPGA. But I like the idea.
sure. My other thing is because, again, I thought this was a really cool format. I would enjoy, and we've kind of talked about this in the past, something about like a draft. If maybe
Mhm.
there was some new tournament where, as of a cutoff date, let's say it was August 4th, the top four ranked players in the Rolex rankings got to have a draft and created a four-player team, and there was a new tournament. I think that would be super interesting as far as who each player would draft.
Uh-huh.
Do you draft
I'm in.
the next highest ranked player? Like, so if it's Gino, Nelly, Minjee, and Lydia, is the first pick going to be Charlie? Do you pick your friend? Do you pick your countrywoman? Do you pick somebody that would pair up well with your game? I think something like that would be must watch TV. Even the draft process would be must watch. I think that would be captivating.
This is fascinating and so rife with issues, but I love like the dodgeball mentality of like, all right, stand in a line, pick who you're going to war with, picking your friends. I like everything you just said in terms of how you would go about choosing it. I like the idea of having the best players being the captains.
I think it would probably need to be something where you lock in the top 16 because you don't want to just pick somebody who's, ranked 48th overall.
I don't know, man. I think that gets to whether or not there's a payday attached to it, right? If I get to choose who gets eligible for a payday, that might be an issue. But if this is kind of an not off the books, but an off schedule kind of skins game type thing like the men are doing, I think then you're making a made for TV event, which man, if there's something the LPGA needs, it's something that's unique. And if you said, hey, and maybe you build in some guarantees, kind of like the way the Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup have auto bids
Mhm.
and captain's picks. Maybe you do something like we'll call it 4-person teams. You can call it whatever you want, but if it's 4-person teams, you have to choose like after these 4 captains, the top 8 have to go,
Okay.
and you snake draft or whatever. And then after that, it's open season and you have to select within the top 100 or whatever. So you protect a certain level of player. But if you want to go off the board and be like, honestly, I'm LeBron James and my son is now in the league. I want to bring him with me. Like, let him get weird. The more stock and boring this gets, the worse this is for the sport. So I'm here for it, man. I want the full business plan, and I want you to start pitching it to the LPGA.
But it's back to like if we're trying to keep this, friendly, kumbaya, no animosity, then yeah, we
Who
don't
cares?
want anyone to get passed up. So that's why I was saying maybe lock in the top 16. But hey, if you're trying to get weird with it, let's get weird with it. And Mark, you
These
and I
women
could
are
do something like this where we create teams for the Toto and we say, okay, here are the teams, and we make them
yeah.
ourselves and kind of see how things shake out like it was a fantasy team.
I mean, don't look now, but you're making a comeback in these picks. I'm not sure I want you suggesting any new pick games because you're on a heater. You got 2 straight weeks, son,
I'm on a roll.
under your belt. Okay, Tom, I think you wanted to. Did you have a game you wanted to play?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Are you putting me in a corner again? Is that what this game is? Or are you actually is this a fair game? What are we doing?
Yeah, this is going to be Australia themed. So if you lose, you're gonna have to do the outro in your Australian accent. I'm gonna eventually get you to do an
Okay.
accent on this podcast.
Okay.
So I got to thinking I wanted to learn some Australian golf slang.
Oh
So
no.
I am going to give you a phrase or a saying that is popular in Australian golf, and you just have to tell me what it means.
Is it multiple choice?
No, of course not. But I mean,
Yikes.
something like apparently, according to Google, a sandbagger is a popular phrase in golf terminology. But I mean, we use that out here. That's not something that's too crazy. Or a dog track, stuff like that.
So are the word how many words we doing? Or phrases?
I don't know. I got like 10.
And are all of these ones you had not heard of prior to this?
Yes,
Yikes. Okay, how many do I have to get?
you'll be all right, Mark. This is just for fun.
How many do I have to get? What's it?
Let's see. I got I got 9. You got to get 5. You got to
Okay.
get more than half.
All right. Let's
All
go.
right. I will start by saying I got this from a golfdigest.com video. And when I watched it, a few times I had to reconfirm. I said, is this really from Golf Digest? Because this seems just like stereotypically incorrect. Just not appropriate. I don't
Oh,
know.
that makes me all sorts of confident now. Thanks for that.
Yeah, just throwing that out
All
there.
right, let's hear it.
Okay. Mark, what is the bush?
It's like they're out of bounds. It's like where all of the are we talking about golf specific terms, right?
Yes, these are all golf. Yeah.
Yeah. So where all of like the OB danger is in the sides of the
The deep
fairway.
rough.
Yeah.
You got it. 1 for 1. If you want, you know what? I'll give you two chances where I can use it in a sentence to see if that helps you.
Okay.
Okay. See, a didgeridoo,
That's a golf term?
right? It just seems incorrect. But again, got it from golfdigest.com.
Okay. Well, I know what an actual didgeridoo is, but that has no bearing on golf.
Fun fact, my band in high school had a didgeridoo player in it. Can you believe we didn't get off the ground?
Jeez, Tom.
Continue.
All right. Can you use it in a sentence, please? I'm just going to burn that now.
Seems like a pretty long hole. I think I should break out the didgeridoo.
The driver?
The driver.
Okay, Lord. We're gonna need Steph Kariakou and team to come on and tell us if these are actually
We
used
need
terms.
somebody to confirm this.
All right.
Uh, a bloomin' onion.
So, wait, did you say there's only 2 questions I get to use it in a sentence on?
Yes.
Okay, let's just take over. A bloomin' onion. Golly, man. Is that a lie in a bunker? Like a fried egg or something?
It is a beautiful high fade.
Wow, I liked my guess though.
Not a bad one. Yeah.
Beautiful high fade. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Yikes. 2 for 3.
All right. Up the guts.
Threaded the fairway.
Yep. Right up the middle. Good job.
Okay.
Arvo. ARVO.
Oh God. Okay, use that one in a sentence because I don't even understand.
Let's try to book a tea time in the Arvo.
I feel like it's a time of day of either like afternoon or twilight or something. Let's go twilight.
Afternoon. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Fair dinkum.
One word or two?
2 words. Fair dinkum.
Spell fair.
FAIR.
And for the hell of it, spell dinkum.
DINKUM.
Nice shot.
Yes, that's correct. Mark with the win. The only other ones I got for you, whinge?
A birdie. I have no idea.
It's a whiner, like somebody when you complain on the course too much.
Okay.
You're a whinger. And then the last one, do you watch Bluey by chance? Your
I
daughters
do
watch
not.
Bluey? Oh,
They do not.
you're in for a treat. A dunny? I learned this from Bluey.
A toilet.
Toilet. Look at you, Mark. Great job.
Yeah.
You
Thanks,
ready to
Mike.
go to Australia?
Okay. All right. Well, I feel all that much smarter now on my Australia knowledge. Thank you for that. Let's get into the main event today, which is talking about the LPGA schedule. I mentioned this in the first episode and probably every episode since. The LPGA schedule is a problem. It is a frenetic, cobbled together sequence of international events that, quite honestly, have no rhyme or reason to how they are assembled. The travel order, Tom, a few episodes ago, you mentioned how many tens of thousands of miles these players would travel if they were going to every event. Not only is a lot of miles, it's non-intuitive. They're not close. There's not natural west or east coast swings. And when Craig Kessler was brought in as the new commissioner, it was mentioned almost immediately that one of the top three things he's going to have to address is the schedule, because there's people like Nelly Korda that are just openly saying, I'm not going to go on the second Asian swing. Like, this just doesn't make sense. If I'm trying to be in peak form for certain events like majors, this just doesn't make sense for me to go to one or two or both of these. So,
And she has the luxury of saying that, right? Because
right.
she's ranked highly and she's made a lot of money where she could say, I'm good. I'm taking time off for my body for me to be in peak physical condition for my next major or something like that. Whereas not everybody has that luxury to do that.
I mean, you said it, man. Like, that's everything that we're going to talk about today is like, if you're just making it on the tour, you got to take every start you can get. And if it's, we're going to be, I'm going to walk us through the schedule. I'm not going to say every tournament name, but we're going to give everyone an idea of how frenetic this travel thing is. But before we do, let me just give everyone a couple factors to have in the back of their head as they hear this schedule for the first time. So think about what we're asking these golfers to do, right? These are the best golfers in the world, bar none. We're asking them to perform at a high level in professional golf off of insane jet lag. We're asking them to, I mean, I don't know about you, but like a 5 hour flight across the US to New York, I'm toast for a day. And I just have to be awake. I'm not performing any athletic feat. I'm toast. I don't care which direction I'm going. I'm getting lost on time zones. And imagine having to wake up and play, not just play recreational fun golf that you and I do, but something that matters for, as you alluded to, some people it's their livelihood to even
Their
make a
livelihood, their
cut.
well-being.
Bro, think about other things. Travel logistics. Okay, how they have to handle their rental cars, their lodging, their caddies. Are they bringing them with them? Are they hiring a local one? Time zone changes. The finances of this for a middle tier to low tier player traveling from the US to Hawaii. Like, imagine going home and then going back to Asia. Like, if you qualified or not, you don't get to set your schedule in advance. So it's not like you're getting the best flights 6 months in advance. Like, you have to wait to see if you qualify for some of these. Some events offer stipends. Like, setting your schedule, trying to peak for majors, meaning you're trying to build a schedule that has you ramping up at certain times. And that's nothing to speak of what life do they have at home? Do they have a spouse? Do they have children? Do they have pets? Like, most of them have dedicated themselves to being a tour player, which means they've got a pretty amazing support system. But that's a lot to balance when your main goal is to be the best possible version of your golfing self you can be. You're going to have some people that understand you cannot be in this sport without being selfish. So if you ever hear me say selfish in this, it is not meant as a dig. It means it's the only way you're going to be a successful professional golfer is if you are selfish and say, I need to work everything around how I'm going to peak and get the best out of myself week to week on this tour. And this tour, unlike the PGA, gives them an incredible, it ties one hand behind their back because of the way the schedule runs. So it's 35 events, 11 countries, and 14 US states. This is a ridiculous schedule. And here is how it starts. I'm going to read these off city by city. And unless I say otherwise, these are back-to-back events, no week breaks. Orlando to Bradenton, so those are two straight Florida events. Off week, travel 20 to 25 hours to Thailand, then 2 hours to Singapore, 5 hours to China, then you get 2 weeks off at the end of that Asia swing, 20 hours to Arizona, then to Vegas, which is a quick hour. Then you get an off week. Why the hell are we doing an off week off of the 1 week where they're not traveling far?
Mm-hmm.
To LA for the next event. Then we're staying in the States in Texas for the first major of the year at the Chevron. Then back to Utah. Again, those of you that can do your US geography, you US listeners, think about the ping ponging we're already doing just within the states. So again, LA to Texas to Utah to New Jersey, break. Mexico. This most recent year, the US Women's Open was Wisconsin. That changes every year. New Jersey, Michigan, Texas for the KPMG Women's PGA, Michigan, again, Michigan, 2 different weeks with an event in between them. What are we doing? Off week, France, 8 hours away. Off week, Scotland, 2 hours away. AIG Women's Open at a rotating venue. Off week, Portland, which is 10 hours away. Ontario, Canada, 2.5 hours away. Boston, 2 hours away. Off week, Ohio, Arkansas, off week. Hawaii, 12 hours away. China, 12 plus hours away. Korea, 2 hours away. Korea again. Malaysia, 7 hours again. Japan, 7 hours away. Florida, 20 hours away. CME Tour Championship in Florida. If you noticed, from Hawaii through Florida, I did not mention an off week. And then they finish after their off week. They have another one in Florida after the CME Tour Championship.
Good for
And
the
that
podcast, bad for the golfers.
and that is a non-Solheim Cup year. So we mentioned the International Crown. I want to give a very real life scenario so people understand how insane that final stretch is. Again, we've one of the tough things about golf, not women's golf, is it's not like baseball where you have the World Series that everyone's working toward. There are 5 unique weeks of the year in the LPGA where you need to be up and ready for your best in theory, because those are the five biggest major, those are the five majors. If those have all happened before this Asian swing we're on right now, imagine having to go do this stretch. Imagine you are one of the 32 players that just played in the International Crown October 23rd. If you advance out of pool play in the Crown, again, we're in Korea, you're going to play semifinals and finals on Sunday. So let's take the Australian team as the example. Let's take Grace Kim and Hannah Green. Grace and Hannah just played 5 rounds in 4 days in Korea. After playing that, including 36 holes on Sunday, they're going to have to jump on a flight to Malaysia on Monday morning, which is, let's say they take a 10 a.m. flight, 7 hours to Malaysia. They gain an hour for time change. They're going to get there 4 p.m. Monday night. You asked earlier about practice rounds, Tom. Tuesday, who knows whether they slept or not on the plane or when they get there, but Tuesday, they've got to practice, probably only 9 holes so they can get some dang sleep. Wednesday, they have to play in the Pro-Am. Remember, there's people pay a lot of money from as a sponsor perspective. So now they got to go schmooze it up and play golf, which doubles as a practice round for them on Wednesday. Thursday through Sunday, they play the Maybank Championship in Malaysia. Let's assume for argument's sake, they're going to continue to make cuts in all of these, so they play all 4 days. Monday morning, they're going to jump on another 10 a.m. flight to Japan, which is another 7 hours away, lose an hour for time change, arrive at 5 o'clock Monday night, do the exact same thing of a Tuesday practice round, Wednesday Pro-Am, Thursday through Sunday, they play the Toto Japan Classic. Monday morning, they're jumping on a 10 a.m. flight to fly 20 hours to Bel Air, Florida, which is a 13-hour time change. They're going to arrive around 5 p.m. Monday night, have no idea what day of the week it is or what time it is. And it'll be 5 p.m. Florida time, 6 a.m. Tuesday in Japan, where they just were. Again, Tuesday practice, good luck with that. I wouldn't be surprised if they just don't practice on Tuesday and maybe they go hit a couple putts and try to get their bodies right. Wednesday's the Pro-Am, which they have to play. Thursday through Sunday, they're now playing the Annika. And that's October 23rd through November 16th. Oh, and by the way, the next week is the CME Group Tour Championship, which is the largest purse of the year on the line. What are we doing? How in the world is that any type of smart when you have the best players in the world trying to peak for those 5 majors, which were not in that list I just rattled off since the International Crown? Who's going to make that swing? That is absolutely bananas. I'm going
And
to pause there
when
just
you
to
alluded
breathe.
to earlier, you said, you can make cuts and keep playing on the weekend. What if you don't? What if you did all of that and then you are cut on Friday and then you go, well, what the hell am I supposed to do here? I have no plans. My flight's not till Sunday night or Monday morning. I guess I'm just gonna try to sleep for the next 48 hours. I mean, that would be, dejecting. You would just say like, what am I doing here?
It
It's so much is mental here. You have to get your head in the right space to say, okay, eyes on the prize. I'm still trying to go for the CME. I'm still trying to gain my points when I can and get my mind right, my body right for all this. And that's grueling. You rattling that off, blew my mind. Actually,
I,
flying and living, it's a completely different level.
right? Like, and again, they're trying to peak athletically. I couldn't make that flight path. Like, I can't imagine doing anything functionally well 2 weeks into that trip. You might be on adrenaline the front half of it, but you're running on fumes. And you're running on fumes at the end of that going into the CME Group Tour Championship. Don't you want everyone playing their best golf, not having gassed them all out? Because again, a lot of these people that are playing the Asian swing have earned their way onto it. So they're some of the better golfers, which means, yeah, they might choose to not play one or two. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people skip Toto to skip Japan to be back in Florida to be able to ramp up for the final stretch, including the CME. Because otherwise, it's only a matter of time. Like historically, I think women like to play 3 or 4 weeks most before a break. Some of them will go 5, 6, 7, but they all say they're kind of gassed at the end of it. There's a lot there, right? And so the obvious question is why the LPGA isn't dumb. Like why are they doing this? Why is it this way? And this is where it speaks to the international nature of this tour, right? There is such larger interest in this tour outside of the United States. We just talked about how great the fandom is in South Korea. There are big sponsors and big money that are willing to put up tournament host money in their host nations, and again, 8 of the top 10 players in the world are non-American, right? So it makes sense they're traveling there. And I mentioned that the schedule is going to be one of the top things the commissioner has to handle. One of the things the commissioner has already come out and said is, you want to know every other sports league in the nation or in the world would kill for? They're all trying to expand internationally. The NFL wants to be bigger in everywhere else. We already have it. We have the inverse problem. We need to take advantage of the fact that we are already international and make sure that we market those players respectively in their areas, right? Let's market the Korean players hard in Korea. Let's market the American players hard in America. And so a lot of people have thought of this as a negative, that it has such an international feel. It's hard to follow. Yeah, it makes sense from an American perspective, but there's still plenty of good American golfers out there. But that drives the schedule because they have to take care of these sponsors like Toto, who we have conversed with online about their sponsorship of the Japan Classic. They care about having an event in Japan and they deserve to have it. But when you're trying to cobble together a cohesive schedule, you can see why, if all of a sudden all of those countries and all of those cities and those corporations more specifically have requests, the LPGA is in a tough spot to say no to money right now. And if the way to say yes also means you have to put a new stop and they have a preference of time of year, that's where we get into scheduling conflicts. It's one thing to say, I want to host an event, and the LPGA to say, hey, why don't we put you on the Asian swing or put you on the West Coast swing? Right now, they're just finding spots, and it turns into this crazy assemblage of lists that I just rattled off.
Right. They have many masters to serve, right? They could
Totally.
say, if this company is willing to give us a bunch of money to have a tournament out in this country and it's, a 12-hour flight for our players and caddies, well, we're giving our players and caddies the opportunity to make a name for themselves, to earn more money. So, yeah, we'll host something and send them out there. And while it's not ideal for these players and their team, it's great for the growth of the game. It's great for these sponsors, for the all the employees that are going to have to put on these tours.
Yeah.
So, like you said, LPGA is not dumb. They understand what an undertaking it is to actually put on a tour. And as of now, this is the best solution, right? And it's not convenient for these players, but like you said, that's a big question that needs to be answered. How are they going to address this? Because you do see golfers retiring at 30 because their bodies probably can't handle this kind of tour stress. Or, they, like you said, they want to have a personal life, a home
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
And when traveling like this, you don't really have that kind of luxury.
It's brutal. You said they have many masters to serve, but there is a comp here, man. Like it, we can bitch as much as we want. There is a model in mind, and that's what the PGA Tour has. And while we don't spend much time talking about the PGA Tour, because I do think these are very different entities, at their core they are the same. They are two membership organizations showcasing professional golf, and the men's tour over time has perfected their schedule to have a couple events in Hawaii, and then naturally go to the West Coast where they do what's called the West Coast Swing. And then they make their way, 4 out of the next 5 weeks are in Florida, right? Like it is intuitive and it's not jumping place to place. And they're not January through November. I mean, that's an 11, like the men have a fall season, right? Where it's kind of those players who are outside a top number, they can still compete before, while the best in the world kind of have some months off. I'm all for that, but it can't happen overnight, but it has to change because otherwise, this is where here, if you want a real life issue that's going to happen, yes, all these sponsors are happy and they're happy to put up the money. You want to know when they're not going to be happy? When the best players in the world say, I can't go to your tournament because I can't do all of this travel and I'm going to skip one. And guess what? When that sponsor contract comes up to renew for that tournament and they've missed Nelly Corda 3 of the last 4 years because she's pulled out, guess what? They're going to say, we're not getting the ROI we asked for on this sponsorship because the best players are bypassing us because your tour schedule sucks. So they may have got excited about the hospitality on the front end of this, but they signed a deal expecting to get the best players in the world. And at some point, each of these players has a decision to make, not the lower tier players that have to play everything, but those ones that have the luxury of picking their schedule. Someone's going to say, hey, Toto, you can do a great tournament. I just can't do it. My body's going to break down. That's going to have trickle down effects. So it benefits everyone for this schedule to get fixed. And it won't happen in 1 year, right? Like, I don't even know when these contracts are signed. Each tournament's its own thing, so they might not all be on the same cycle. So maybe the next time 2 tournaments are up next year, they will figure out where to place them. And it'll be a 2, 3, 5 year cycle before this all makes sense. But man, if they don't get this right, it's impossible to follow. You and I are trying really hard to follow, and it shouldn't be this hard.
Mhm.
So we have another tournament this week. Still on the Asian swing, we are going to Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur for the Maybank Championship. This is the second year of the event. Pretty big purse, $3 million. Defending champ Running Yin came out last year. She beat Gino by 1, her good buddy. It's always fun to see 2 friends go at it at the end. Good TV watching again this week. 6:30 to 11:30 Pacific time, Tom. So again, really, really good Wednesday through Saturday watching for those of us in the States. But Tom, for the second straight week, you now have honors on picks. So who you going with this week for the Maybank?
This week, I got Se-Young Kim in her last
Ah.
5 events. I'm sorry, last 4 events. 3, T5, T15, and won her most recent event at the BMW Ladies Championship. I'm making a comeback, Mark.
And you
Get
want some
nervous.
repeat winners. You're tired of all these individual winners. You want someone to repeat like Gino, huh?
Yes.
I don't think anyone who played in the international crown is going to win this week. I think they're all gassed, and there's a lot of them playing. Like some of the best, all the best players, a lot of best players in the world are playing this week. I bypassed all of them just because I feel like they're all gassed. So I'm going to go with Alim Kim to win this one. Alim has sniffed around the lead a few times this year. She's top 10 in in her last 3 starts, 2 of which on the Asian swing. I think she's very comfortable on the Asian swing. So look for Alim Kim to put me back in the driver's seat on picks this week. Anything else, Tom?
No, man, I don't think so. Good episode.
Yeah, if you guys are still listening, you guys are the OGs for sure.
Ooh, do we have names for our listeners?
Go for it.
Yeah, I'll think of something.
If you have suggestions for what we should call our listeners, a fun nickname, by all means, send those and any other suggestions for future player deep dives or topics to fringecoverage@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Fringe Coverage Pod. Follow us on X at Fringe Coverage X. And by the way, we have a couple interviews coming up. So if you're getting tired of hearing Tom and I talk all the time, think, Tom, we might have 2 or 3 interviews over the next 5 weeks or so. So stay tuned for some fresh voices in the golf space. Tom,
Whether you're approaching from the fairway or the rough, we got you covered inside the fringe.
bye guys.